Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful. Good morning. There it is. My name is Sandy Gunnarsson, and I'm so happy that you are here on our monthly Catalyst meeting. We meet the first Thursday of every month, so if you don't have that on your calendar, please do so. Put that on your calendar because we'd love to see you again next month. Catalyst is a place that we offer you to come and to have community conversations. We want to be able to connect in a very safe place, to talk about things going on in our community to better our community. And we're all diverse. And what that means is we all bring different viewpoints. And we want to hear those different viewpoints because that's what it's going to take to make change in our community. So this is a safe place. Our hope is that, and I'm so sorry I'm reading off this. My husband just asked me the other night to do this and I didn't have time to memorize it. And these are his words, not mine. But they're good words. Our hope is that you will connect with others and hopefully build trust so that we can work together and truly make a difference in our community. So if you have not done so, in the middle of the table is a sign-in sheet. And if you can just let us know that you're here by signing in, that would be great. Today we are so proud to have our Catalyst sponsor, and it is Rolling Neff Credit Union. And Rolling Neff, their mission is to improve the lives of the people in the communities they serve. Their members are more than just a number to them. They are family. Once a member, always a member. So, and they are located in Turlock, if you're wondering. I saw some questions. Where is Rolling F?
What is Rolling F?
Rolling F, they used to be the credit union for Foster Farms. And then they branched out to community charter. Impressive, I knew that, right? 30 years in the credit union industry, I know. So in a few days we are celebrating Independence Day, so let me be the first to say Happy 4th of July! Woo! Independence Day is a federal holiday where our 250th anniversary, so 250 years ago the Declaration of Independence was signed, and what that meant was we became the United States of America. We were born. And that's pretty cool. So what we're doing is today we want to celebrate that. And in looking at that as a milestone, what we want to look at another milestone, and that is becoming an American citizen. So for many of us, myself included, American citizenship is not something that I had to really worry about. I was born and raised in this country. I did not have to apply for it. I didn't have to study for it. I didn't have to earn it through years and years and years of waiting, like many people have. And so today we have the privilege of hearing from 3 individuals who have actually walked that process out. Okay? And through their stories, we're hoping to gain a deeper understanding of that process, what it means to become an American citizen, to better understand the process and to celebrate those today who have chosen to call this place their home. So we are going to have Maria Arevalo come up in a moment, and she's going to be able to share with us a little bit about that process, because if you're like me, I'm unfamiliar. I'm embarrassed to say that. I'm kind of unfamiliar with the process of what it takes to actually go through that journey. So Maria Arevalo, she was born in Mexico and came to the United States when she was 3 years old with her mother and 2 siblings. She became a U.S. citizen through a process called derivative citizenship, which is available to minor children who have at least one U.S. citizen parent. She has been a resident of Modesto since 1979. She moved here after graduating from UC Berkeley School of Law to her first legal job with California Rural Legal Assistance, providing legal services to farm workers in our county. Maria went on to work in various legal positions, including criminal defense practice both with the Public Defender's Office and Stanislaus and Merced counties, and in her own private practice. She also worked in the County Counsel's Office, representing various county departments. She was the attorney for the Merced County Retirement System, advising on contracts, investments, and retirement policies. I'm feeling like an underachiever right now. And then was appointed to the pension plan administrator for the retirement system. She retired from that position after serving 9 years. Since retirement, Maria has been involved in various community organizations. She's on the board of Stanislaus Community Foundation and is the chair of the foundation's grant committee. She is the chair of the Stanislaus Latino Giving Circle and was a part of the leadership team for the Latino Leadership Initiative, LLI, woo woo, for 7 years, where she still remains an instructor. She was also the past chair of the Modesto Golf Advisory Committee. More recently, Maria helped initiate a citizenship class at El Concilio and teaches that class every Tuesday evening. The course will begin its 4th session next week. Maria enjoys riding bikes, golf, and hanging out with her 2 grandchildren. Will you join me in welcoming Maria Arevalo?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction and for inviting me here. I'm going to read from notes just because I didn't memorize this either. The immigration situation in this country is really heartbreaking. The practices and regulations that are coming out from this administration are not only cruel and inhumane, but they're really very unnecessary to address any issues in our communities. Immigrants are not taking jobs from citizens. Immigrants are not committing crimes at excessive levels. Immigrants are not taking resources from other folks. There is simply no data to support any of those allegations. Some people say, well, we have immigration laws and we need to enforce the laws that we have on the books. As an attorney, I can understand that position. And they use these laws and regulations to justify the really terrible practices around detention and deportation right now. And we only have to think about the Japanese internment laws, the Japanese Exclusion Act, the legal exploitation of laborers in the Bracero program, to really understand that just because it's legal does not make it right. It does not make it moral. People also say that they don't have an issue with immigration as long as people do it the right way, get in line, have your turn. But frankly, there is no path. There is no path to legal status in this country for many folks coming from Latin America or the Western Hemisphere. You can't do it the right way because there is no path there. So that argument or that position really doesn't make sense when you look at the laws that we have in place. There are the paths to legal status are very different from depending where you come from. If you're a white person coming from South Africa right now, the path to citizenship, to legal status is pretty easy. But and it's not that I want to pit immigrant against immigrant, but we really have to recognize that immigration laws and policies are not equal for all people coming from all over the world. That's just not the case. Okay, let's see. So what does it take to become a U.S. citizen? And actually, that's the question that we're going to look at today. But really, the real question is, what does it take to become a legal permanent resident? Because that is the first requirement on your way to citizenship. You must be a legal permanent resident for 5 years in this country before you can begin the process. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, you have to wait for 3 years to become a legal permanent resident. Those are the people that come to our class. There's other paths to citizenship, such as, like for me, if one or both of your parents were citizens when you were born, you derive citizenship directly from them. There's certain paths through military service that you can get a path to legal status, but that's not really common. So LPR status, legal permanent residency, that's number one. You have to be 18 years or older to apply. Then you have to establish good moral character. You have to pass a civics test where you answer questions about U.S. government and civics. And then you have to demonstrate an ability to read, write, and speak English at a basic level. So those are basically all the requirements to become a citizen. When we started our class at the beginning of 2025, the civics test consisted of 100 questions. The applicant had to answer 10 questions, 6 of them correct. If you got 5 wrong, then you were eliminated. You had to write 3 basic sentences in English, read 3 basic sentences in English, and when you submitted your N400, that's the application for citizenship, the N400. When you submitted that, then you had to wait 3 to 4 months to get your interview, and you paid a fee of $760 for the application. You have 2 tries at this. If you don't make it in 2 tries, then you have to start that process all over again. In October of 2025, they changed the laws, and now an applicant has to study 128 questions. You will be asked 20 questions. You have to get 12 of those correct, and if you get 9 wrong, then you fail. When you submit your N400, the waiting time now is 9 to 12 months long, and the new proposed fee for the application is $1,200. So it's gotten a lot more difficult, that process. The policy behind becoming a citizen has always been to make it sort of friendly, not too difficult, because the idea was, let's encourage people to be citizens. Let's don't make it so difficult. But now the whole process has become much more difficult, much more expensive, and much more intimidating, because that welcoming atmosphere just doesn't exist anymore. So the civics test. The civics test is basically a matter of memorization. Remember, these are people who don't, English is not their first language. People have not been in school in a long time, so it's a lot of study time to learn this. And some of the questions, for example, are, name 5 of the original states. Why did the U.S. enter the Persian Gulf War? What is the purpose of the 10th Amendment? What does we the people mean? What is the rule of law? Why do U.S. representatives serve shorter terms than U.S. senators? Now, how many of all you know all the answers to those questions? No, right? So, it's a lot of studying, 128 questions in English, so they've got to learn. And then you've got some English requirements that can also be difficult, but with a lot of study, and these folks are really very committed to studying, they can basically get through that. But the tricky part is establishing good moral character, because any little detention from a police officer, a speeding ticket, anything like that is really going to affect your ability to establish good moral character. And then you get asked questions like, if the law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance? Another question, are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the U.S.? And then they ask them, what do these terms mean to you? Well, when you've got limited English, it's hard to explain what these terms mean and how you interpret them. So that gets a little tricky for people, and they get a little intimidated by that. But we try in our class to prepare them for those kind of questions. And then they ask you questions such as, it's also part of the application, are you affiliated or connected with any communist, terrorist, or insurgent organizations? Now those questions, to people, they're like, why are you even asking me this? And it makes them puzzled, and it makes them intimidated. It's another sort of atmosphere of intimidation around these questions. But again, in the class we try to prepare them, we drill them, we ask them these questions so that they're prepared to answer them. So that's what folks are dealing with in the interview. And people now, in addition to being anxious about passing the test and demonstrating their abilities, they're also anxious about being detained. Some little thing can happen at the interview, and all of a sudden, they're not letting you go home. They're detaining you there. They're also making you come back. You used to pass the test, and then you would be sworn in as citizens. Now you're coming back for a second appearance in front of immigration officials. So all that is making people very anxious. And I think that the requirements that have gotten more difficult, it's sort of lending to the atmosphere that immigrants are no longer welcome here. People are saying, why are they making it harder for us? Why are they making it more expensive for us? And they're getting the sense that they're no longer valued as members of our community here. Many of our students have been legal permanent residents for more than the 5 years requirement, but it's only now that they're feeling that that status is no longer going to protect them, even though they've lived in their communities for years, contributing, paying taxes, benefiting the communities they live in. They're no longer feeling secure in that status. And so we have a lot of folks now coming out, applying for citizenship. And I myself sort of feel like we have failed those communities. I think that for the last, I don't know how many years, we should have already been out there promoting these classes, supporting people. And that's one of the reasons that we started the class in the Concilio. And the Concilio has been great. They've been so good about supporting this class, having it at their offices, giving us the space and the materials that we need. So that's been really great. But I do think that we have sort of neglected that community. Let's see what else. Oh, okay. So, and I just have to also say about the students. These students come to our class at 5:30, and this is after a full day of work, after taking care of family members, and they're just so, they arrive at, at the end of their work day. You know how we all are at the end of our work day, right? The last thing we want to do is sit down and study something, but here they are with energy, determination to study, good humor, and just gratitude for the opportunity to learn. It's really very gratifying. We had Roberto, one of our students, who came to class each week with his disabled brother, because nobody else could take care of him. He passed the test. We had Sylvia up at 3:30 every morning to get to her job at an Amazon distribution center, there every time at the class on time. We had Miguel, who at the beginning of our class could barely speak English, and we all thought, oh my God, he's never gonna pass. But he was so determined, and he did pass that class. He came back to tell us, and the whole class just exploded in applause, because we thought, man, if Miguel can make it, we can make it. It was just really a fun story. So, these are people who want to be full members of the community. They want to vote. They want to take part in government. But it's really been hard for them to have faith in government when government doesn't look like them, doesn't reach out to them, and in so many ways has really let them down. And in spite of all that, they want to become full citizens and full participants. So there's a lot of hope in that class, but there's also a lot of recognition that things are really hard for immigrants right now. But I got to say that I've never seen more upbeat, hopeful people with good humor, and I get more out of that class than they do, I'm sure. But I've just been really proud to be part of their process towards citizenship. So I hope that gives you some idea of the process, and thank you very much.
All right, well, come on up. I've got a panel for you guys. We got a few questions. Hey, thanks for playing. I hope that was fun. We're going to get things moving here. I got a panel of people that they're going to share a little bit about their story as they became citizens of our great nation, and we're looking forward to having conversation. We're going to, I'll keep you on time. I might point to you and be like, but you're good. We'll keep it rolling. And then do we have an extra mic? Mike on the mic with Mike.
We do.
Look at that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll hand it to you, and you guys will just.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, and then we're going to go right into the first question, and we'll pass it on over. So tell us a little about yourself. Where were you born, and what brought you to the United States?
Thank you so much, John, for this great opportunity, and such a great honor to being here and speak before everybody. My name is Mustafa. I was born in Afghanistan, and until the age of 18, I was raised on that country. In 2019, my dad and my entire family, we decided to move to the United States due to security, limited opportunities for education, and a better pursuit of life. I came to the US with limited English, and through the help of community members, mentors, as well as my family, I was able to graduate from high school. I went to Grace M. Davis High School, where I graduated in 2020. Right after that, unfortunately, the COVID hit, so I didn't get the chance of going to college in person, but I pursued college online, and I took most of my classes online. In 2024, I decided that I should go to higher education, and I transferred to UC Berkeley. I graduated with a BA in political science and minor in public policy and Persian language. And currently I'm pursuing my master at the University of Pepperdine, Washington, D.C. campus. So that was a little bit about me. Thank you,
Mustafa. Thank you. We'll pass it on there. Yeah, go ahead, introduce yourself. Do you need the questions again? A little about yourself, where were you born, and what brought you to the U.S.?
Hi, my name is Pedro Garcia. I am currently a chef in downtown Stockton. I was born in Mexico. My father works in the almond industry and he was able to get a job in Ribbon, California. And so he moved the whole family over here when I was 5 years old. This was back in the 90s. And so, not to date myself, but at the time I was born and raised in Ripon, California, and then when it came to college, there weren't any opportunities for people that were not born here, and so I had to wait for the Deferred Action Program. Then I was able to go to Delta College. I have an associate's in studio art. I'm working on my culinary arts degree and a interdisciplinary studies degree.
Awesome. Yeah, give it up. That's awesome.
Hi.
Where were you born and what brought you to the U.S.?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gloria Valgames. I was born and raised in Mexico City. I came to the U.S. when I was 37 years old because I married an American. And never in my wildest dreams, when I was young, I thought I was going to be an American citizen. But, yeah.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna let you keep the mic. We're gonna ask you. Yeah, give it up. I like that. It's not easy being up here. Claps help. All right, so Gloria, I'm gonna have you answer this question. At what point did you decide I want to become a U.S. citizen, and why was that important to you?
So a little bit of context. I met my husband when I was in school. I was doing a master's in Boston, and he's American, blonde blue eyes. And when we met, he actually moved to Mexico City with me for the first 2 years of our marriage, but he didn't adapt to the country. So to the language, it was hard for him. Even though he loved it, it was just hard. And so we were struggling in our marriage, and at some point we decided we were gonna move back to the US. So we applied for my green card, or my lawful permanent residence. Well, I was in Mexico, so I did all the process to become first a green card holder from Mexico, which is completely different than what you do it here. And then we drove from Mexico to Houston. And when I crossed the border, and I was all excited about coming. And when we crossed the border, I was okay. And then when we entered Houston, I started crying. And he was like, "What's going on? Do you want to go back?" And I'm like, "No." And in that moment, I knew in my heart it was just a permanent decision. So, as Maria said, after 3 years, first when you get your green card as by marriage, you only get it as conditional for the first year. You have to prove that you get married actually for love and for other reasons. So after a year, you start the process of actually getting the green card for 10 years. So I did that process. It was very stressful because you cannot leave the country in the meantime. Then I got it for 10 years, and then when I hit the 3-year mark, I started applying for my citizenship. And I decided to become a citizen because back then I was already living in Michigan, so we moved from Houston to Michigan. And it was COVID times, and I decided that I wanted to be a US citizen. I wanted to be able to vote, because if I was paying taxes, I wanted to be able to say something about how the government was being ruled, and if I had made a permanent decision to stay here, then I wanted to be a citizen. So it was a choice I made.
Well done. Thank you for sharing. All right, same question. At what point did you decide I wanted to become a U.S. citizen, and why was that important to you?
So the point at which I decided to become a U.S. citizen was somewhere around 2021. So I had also gotten married, and it was straight out of high school, and I thought, I'm so different, this is totally gonna last forever.
Yeah, I know.
If you're one of those, good for you. But I had applied to become a lawful resident, and I had the 10-year lawful residency card. I could have become a U.S. citizen, I think anytime after 2018, but I was like, I still have lawful residency, it's fine. 2020 happens, 2021, administration changes, and I'm like, you know what? I'm turned the chapter in my life. I'm a totally different person. I don't want to keep applying because I'm not quite sure what will happen, because every 10 years you do have to reapply and prove that you are still holding lawful residency status. And I was like, well, maybe I want to travel. Maybe I want to visit my grandmother, who I haven't seen since 1997. And so I decided I'm just gonna bite the bullet, save up the money, apply, get someone to help me fill out all the paperwork, and May 24th, 2022, I became a US citizen.
That's so cool. Mustafa, at what point did you decide I wanted to become a US citizen, and why was that important to you?
I think this is something has two things that I need to touch on. The first and foremost, the moment that I arrived to this country, I always wanted to become a United States citizen. And I don't know for what reason, but it was something that I really wanted to, looking forward to it. But as I went to college and become more aware about our political institutions, the democratic value that we are upholding every single day, and our constitutions, it determined that I need to become a United States citizen, so that I can actively participate in voting process. And by the time when I went to Berkeley, the first class that I took was in the United States Congress, learning about how the law process works and why we are voting for the members, and it's about like representation of us. And that also kind of like strengthening my determinants about like becoming the United States citizens. In 2024, I was fortunate enough to receive the passport of this country and then become the United States citizens. For me, citizenship is not about simply just living here or just being part of the community. It's more about looking about the future of the country, the ability and capacity to participate in the democratic values, the value that we determined in 1787 on our Constitution, and the values that we are still upholding despite the lack of the administration that we are keep seeing, but the people are still determined about those values, and we are still trying to uphold it on every single day basis. So for me, yeah, it was the moment that I arrived, and then as much as I became aware about our political institutions and even getting involved in politics, I tried to become a citizen as soon as I can.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
No, thank you for sharing. So I'm gonna have you keep the mic. I'm gonna ask you the next question. Can you describe what it felt like on the day you took the oath of allegiance and officially became a U.S. citizen?
I was nervous. I think it's usual when you go to an immigration office and you're trying to kind of like prove that you know everything about the country. Sometimes they ask you the hardest questions, and then sometimes they ask you the hardest question, and you have to be kind of prepared for answering those hardest questions with a passion as well as with a sense of that they understand that you know those questions comprehensively. And after they asked me a couple of questions, the first questions that I would never ever forget is, she asked me how many U.S. senators is in this country. And I said 100, and then she asked me the second following questions about the representative, which is 435 people in the House of Representatives. And then she asked me, how do I know super well? That was her third question. And I said, I study political science. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna stop here. So, yeah. But after that, I felt great when I was taking the oath of allegiance, because now I'm moving from the first state of this Germany, which is upholding the law, living in this country, paying your taxes, which is the first and foremost things, and now I'm moving to the second part of this journey, which is now I have an equal rights to participate in voting process, participate in representations. This was a struggle that many of the people had during the Boston Tea Parties, that we fought against the British, that we kind of decide that we're paying taxes to be represented. We're not going to pay taxes with no representation. So now becoming a citizen is more of about like when you're paying taxes, you need to be represented on those political offices. And for me, it felt great because now I have that opportunity and then capacity to vote for the member that I would like, who represent me for the government level.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Mustafa, for sharing. All right. Can Can you describe what it felt like on the day you took the oath of allegiance and officially became a U.S. citizen?
Similar, the interview was a little, I was so nervous, and I got to Sacramento as early as I could. The interview I did was a lot more personable, but kind of, they're so smart. So they had every single paper I've ever turned into DACA. They had every single paper on my grandfather who became a US citizen in the 1980s. They had every single paper that my family's ever turned in. So they just already knew who I was. They just wanted to double check. They would ask things. I remember my interviewer had a cough and he said, sorry, I just went diving, and so I have a little bit of cough. I went diving outside in Fiji, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And he's like, yeah, have you ever left the country within the last 10 years? Just, they know.
Bait and switch, that was dirty.
Yes. They're just like, oh, just double checking. I'm not sure, because it says that you didn't. And so it was very nervous. I was very nervous to do it, but I was glad it was over. And then it's a lot of back and forth up and down to Sacramento, which is our closest branch to go get that done in. And because it was post-pandemic, you weren't allowed to bring any family or friends to your ceremony. So it was just you and I think 500 other people in quarantine different rooms. And we just did like oaths in bulk. And it was so interesting because it was almost DMV-like, but they give you a little constitution and you raise your hand and you swear an oath and we cheer, and then the next group goes in and you're just like, oh my gosh, that was it. That was it.
It's like a Band-Aid, just rip it right off.
Exactly, yes. And then afterwards you get to go to your family and celebrate. But yeah, it was fun.
Well, thank you for sharing. Can you describe what it felt like when you took the oath of allegiance and officially became a U.S. citizen?
So I took the oath of allegiance in 2021. So also COVID times, and it was exactly like that. So I was living in rural Michigan, 2 hours from Detroit, and the ceremony was in Detroit. So and it was very early. My appointment was like at 8 a.m. So because I wanted to be on time, I had to drive the night before, stayed in a hotel by myself. I came in, I dressed up, I put makeup up, whatever, and I had to wear a mask. So it was, and they only let us 10 people at a time in the room with proper distance. The judge was that took the sort of allegiance was super sweet, super nice, and said, I'm so sorry, usually this is a party. We have mariachis and families, and it's in a big theater, and the mayor of the city, but this is what it is. So it was very lonely, it was very sad, but I cried. I was by myself, I took the pledge, and then I took a selfie. So for the selfie, I took my mask off, and they got it, body now! So I only have a picture with me, a flag with the mask. So, and then I drove back, 2 hours home, and that was it. No celebration, I was by myself, no family, no one.
Well, let's
and
celebrate.
I'm the only American, and I'm the only green guy in my family. Everyone is in Mexico, so it was, kind of long.
Oh, well, let's celebrate her here. It seems like every time I put makeup on, I always have to put a mask on too. I hate that. All right, keep the mic. We're going to keep going. Many of us in the room have been American citizens our entire lives. What's something you wish people like us understood or appreciated more about being an American citizen?
It is a privilege, but it's also a responsibility. I've never missed a vote since I became a citizen, even a small one. Every November, and people don't go, they take it for granted, and I take it very seriously. I study. Every time I go, I study the whole ballot, and who, and why, and for what. And what is going on is so serious today. And it feels overwhelming at a federal level, but you can do so much in your local community, which is so important. And I get so mad when I see people taking it for granted and they don't vote. So, yeah, so it's a privilege and honor, and sometimes it's a responsibility when you're outside in the world. And people look at me and I'm like, how do you feel? You're a president, how do you? I'm like, it's So it is what it is. But I'm sorry, I do want to make a note from my previous answer. So that night, I used to do sailing. My sailing team did celebrate me, and one of my friends who was he was a veteran. He gave me one of his.
Wow, that's awesome.
And they got me Budweiser.
Hey, that's American. That is American. I tell you what. I could be real American right now, actually, if you guys wanted. All right, sorry, let's keep moving. Thank you for answering. That's awesome. So, what's something that you wish people like us understood and appreciated more about being an American citizen?
Yeah, I would say piggybacking off of that, something similar is that like it's something you're born with, but it's something we put time, money, effort, blood, sweat, tears.
I chose it.
Yeah, we chose to like work really hard to get this done, to wait that time, to pay those fees, to cry about it because we can't memorize all 100 questions. They're so hard. Filling out flashcards, like putting in so much work just to get what you were already born with. And same, there's a lot of civic responsibility that I just was like, well, I'm an American citizen now. Now I'm gonna apply and I'm gonna get my passport because I would like to travel and I would like to have security that if anything, detention or anything, I have an American passport and I'm backed up. And then also I know all my representatives. I can call Alexandra Duarte, I can call Mike Masuda, I call him Mike. I'm like, hey Mike, here you are at this other event that I'm also at. We get so involved because we were like, I put so much effort into this, you're not taking it from me. I'm working so hard to just be involved in the community in even the smallest ways, even in just District 5 to see a change or to just talk to people about it. And it's crazy. I have people that I work with that were like, oh, when are we voting? I'm like, that was 2 months ago, you guys. That was 2 months ago. But yeah, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, actually, to become a citizen, something that most people just get when they are born here.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. So, this is the same question. Yeah, what's something you wish people would appreciate about being an American citizen?
Thanks so much for asking me these questions. The one thing that I really think of, and you guys touch upon to that, is being a citizen of the United States is a great privilege that most of you guys have and been born with it. But unfortunately, we just take it for granted. There are many peoples around the world that are suffering right now. They have the dream of becoming a United States citizen, or they're seeking for a path to come to this country and have an equal opportunity. One of the great things that you can do in the United States is having the equality and the equal opportunity as the people who is citizens or whatnot. But the greater responsibility that you can acquire by the time you become a citizen is the right of voting, the right of participation in democracy, the rights that you can represent yourself in political institutions. And that is something that I wish the people, who born with being a United States citizens should appreciate, that we cannot take it for granted. I just simply do not see the citizenship or living in this country as a legal status that you became a citizen and now you have a passport, you can travel, and now you have a legal status. I see it more as a responsibility that you can carry it on every single day on the top of your shoulders. By the time you became a citizen, you have to be aware about who's going to be the next president, who's going to be your next representative. And unfortunately, as a person, who's been involved in political stuff, I have seen it firsthand that many of the peoples who live in the community, they do not know who their representatives is. And something that's kind of unfortunate to see, especially our younger generations. Most of our younger generations, they're not aware who their representatives are, what their responsibilities are, and even examples. In 2024, I asked his students, because he needed help with his passport, and I asked, you can call your representative and then they're going to help you out with the casework. And then he's like, I do not know who my representative is. And that is something unfortunate that we see it, because a lot of people just born with it and then they think the way as it is, but it's something that when you become, as an immigrant, when you become a citizen, in the path of citizenship, you are preparing yourself for getting more responsibilities.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for sharing. Sorry. But yeah, we appreciate you letting us into your life a little bit. That's awesome. Thank you. Give it up one more time for our panel. All right, you guys go ahead and have a seat. I'll take that mic from you.
I'm just gonna say this.
Oh, yes,
Thank you so much. It's been a great honor to meeting all of you. Unfortunately, I've been away from this community for the past couple of years, but coming back, it's giving me a sense of that we're still on track of like learning more about the community, about the people in the community who lives here, about the diverse community. And thank you so much for the people who's on the backgrounds. Mike, thank you so much for preparing this event. Thanks so much, John, for facilitating this panel. It's a great honor to be here. But thank you so much again.
Thank you, Mustafa. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to invite our fearless leader up, Marvin, the next president of the United States. Marvin Jacobo.
Dun, 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 dun. I do want to thank, first of all, Maria. She was up front, and she's continues, and I probably haven't said this to you. I'll say it in public, that you are a hero to me in your courage. So, thank you. Yeah, she's been an advocate at the celebration. She's been amazing. So, if you don't know her, and she was good at controlling her. Good job, Maria. We're proud of you. And then, of course, the three panelists. What amazing stories, and thank you. Yep. And of course, if you know Gloria Marr, she cries at everything, so she's probably crying right now. So, during these conversations, I just want to encourage you. There's always, I'm all over the map this morning, but I do want to say, yeah, but, and what if. I want to encourage you to, some of you might be in the room, and yeah, but, and what if, and please find some trusted relationships, somebody that you could sit down with and say, now help me understand, whether it's taxes or whether it's Social Security or whether it's benefits or all those things that we hear. There's so many stories and so many things. I just want to encourage you, please find some trusted relationships. It's wonderful, candidly, for me to be able to say, hey, can I talk to you about something? I heard this, or I'm thinking that, and tell me, give me your perspective. So find some trusted people. I'm going to say that, and I wrote that right at the end, yeah, but, or what ifs, if there's anybody like that. I am proud to be an American. I love my country, and I do want to say to you, we can be better and we can do better. We can do better and we can be better. Now, I'll let you decide wherever you want to land on that, but I just know in my heart, gosh, we can be better and do better. One of the questions that I've been struggling with, a couple of questions, is how can I, as a citizen of the United States, make room to care for I'll call them, and the Bible calls it strangers in our midst? How, as a citizen, can I make room to care? And how do I do my best to uphold the laws of my country and demonstrate care to all in my midst? Now, those are just things I'm trying to figure out for myself as I care for people. When I was a little kid, Walter Winchell was a radio personality, 1960. Okay, as most of you probably weren't born in 1960. Okay, Walter Winchell, anybody in here? Okay, a couple of you. But he popularized this phrase, America, love it or leave it. Now that America, love it or leave it, that little statement, that little slogan, started showing up during the Joseph McCarthy communist Red Scares in the 1950s. And then Walter Winchell popularized it. So as a little kid, and then, my family moved in this town in 1958. So probably when I became 6th, 7th grade, it became a real popular phrase, first for the Vietnam War and against the Vietnam War. So as a little kid, my first group of people around me were America, love it or leave it, and we were, they were trashing the protesters about the Vietnam War, and they, that was that. But then as I got into, junior and high school, and of course, when I became 15, I was the smartest I've ever been in my life. Yeah. If you've been with teenagers, they're just brilliant. Love it or leave it, it began to shift for me. Because when I was a little kid, I would hear, oh my gosh, if they're out marching and protesting, they need to leave the country, love it or leave it. And then somewhere, and I'm not sure exactly where it was, but my attitude, my perspective began to shift about those that were spending time and energy I'll say protesting, giving their American privilege of speaking up their minds, and it became about, oh my gosh, they do love America. That's why they're speaking up. So again, I don't always know where you land on that, because welcome to America today. But for me, there's that tension that I just want to encourage you to learn how to live in, to find trusted voices that you can have respectful interactions with. Once a month, I meet with a curmudgeon, and I love him to death. I won't tell you who it is. Some of you might know who it is. And we have some wonderful conversations. In fact, he even texted me this morning, hey, you wrote this down. Let's talk about this next time we get together. And he's just wonderful. We're just trusted friends. And we surely see some things differently. But the thing that's been terrific of that conversation is to be able to give back and forth of conversations and learning, oh, you see that way? Well, what? Well, you see it that way? Oh, wow. And then beginning to just continue to grow together as human beings. But I want to encourage you to continue to have those kind of conversations. There's that slide, I'm not sure if it's right behind me, but the slide here that Mike's going to put up right now is an acronym for citizen. And I'm not going to do any commentaries on it other to say on a couple of ones is to inform yourself. Please don't be lazy. Or my mother would say, lazy, don't be lazy. You come up in a Latina family. Don't be lazy, you're so lazy. Okay, sorry. I got that burned in my head. Inform yourself. Inform yourself. I'm going to say yourself. Do some homework, whatever that might look like. I wrote down here just a few minutes ago, listen as if you might be wrong. Listen as if you might be wrong. Second one is engage with respect, and that's been something we talk about here all the time. And then finally, never stop learning, never stop serving, get involved. Get involved. There are places now where I've shifted my perspective because I got to know people. I got to know certain people in certain situations, and they became my friends. Or I might disagree with them, but I got their back. And I'm gonna take care of them. And so all that to say, I just want to encourage you with Citizen, and I'm so grateful. Gloria Marr and all three of them said that citizenship is a privilege and a responsibility. And so those of us who've had the privilege and at times get lazy with this privilege, I'm hoping that, I know all of you in this room, you are amazing in responsibility and taking the initiative and serving and informing yourself. And I want to encourage you, all of you as leaders of leaders, as I am, to inform and challenge your circles of influence to listen as if you might be wrong. And the responsibilities and the privileges of citizenship. The lady in the harbor, keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Sandy, you can come on up.
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Marvin. And was this a great morning or what? Yes. Thank you so much for coming. We hope and pray that you felt that this was a valuable time. Next month, August, Catalyst, Chris McPherson. How many have ever heard Chris McPherson speak? He's an incredible speaker, leading with purpose in an ever-changing culture. He will be our special speaker on leadership. And put it on your calendar, invite a friend, and go and bless the community that we live in. Be a blessing today. Go.